This is called Nail Polish is Not Just for Princesses. My dad started getting his nails done 45 years ago at the beauty parlor in downtown Macomb, Mississippi, where he went to college on a football scholarship. He was the only man in the shop ever, he told me. But he went every other week to get his nails buffed up and painted with clear, shiny polish. When I asked why, he said, "You gotta look the part to play it." What part? The part of a successful businessman, he said. But didn't the guys on the football team think you were a little faggy? He said, "I don't know," like it had never occurred to him. At 18, my dad didn't want to look like his father, a used car salesman. He didn't want to look like a poor kid from Hialeah who sold ladies' shoes. He didn't want to look like he wielded tools with his square hands and thick, strong fingers. He wanted to look like Ed Sullivan. Before he went, he said he didn't know anyone who went to college, but somehow he had this idea that polished nails would help him get a degree and bring financial success. He got the degree, and then instead of becoming a gym teacher, like his parents suggested, he sold more shoes, married my mom, and she became a teacher. Together, they supported my dad through optometry school. He went to work every day for 20 years. At first, he wore a suit and tie. He always wore nail polish. And he made enough money as an optometrist to make real investments, he said. My dad still believes in looking the part. Right now, he's trying to look the part of a guy 20 years younger. So he dyes his hair Superman black and holds his stomach in when he's standing around. He does look pretty young, in my opinion, for a 68-year-old. Even if his hair color might bleed down his face if he gets caught in the rain. These days, he drives a convertible BMW and smokes a giant cigar, the size of a cucumber. He cruises around town at 20 miles an hour with his top down, his fingernails glistening on the steering wheel. He looks quite dandy. He is a dandy. My dad made it rich. Which makes me think of my daughter, who plays the part of the princess. Every day, Tashi, who's 5, insists on wearing a floor-length fuchsia dress. The dress has a giant plastic pink brooch sewn under the neckline, which she calls a diamond. The dress also has glitter scattered across the satin skirt and flowing velvet sleeves. For shoes, Tashi prefers purple plastic high heels with feathers across the open toes. Whenever she gets the chance, she'll sit for hours in front of my mother's vanity, making herself beautiful. And like my dad, she loves to have her nails polished. When we go out for a ride on her bike, she'll put on her silver knit dress with the sequins, the white socks that fold down with lace, her cream-colored Mary Janes, and her strawberry patterned helmet. When we're getting dressed Sunday morning for a day in the park, she'll go through my closet to pick out my clothes, the way I used to pick out hers. She'll choose the silk dress I wore to her cousin's bat mitzvah. With hopeful eyes, she'll say, "Mommy, wear this." But I'm a tomboy. As a kid, all I would wear were my brother's brown corduroys and his Keep on Truckin' iron-on t-shirt. I'll say, "No, baby, I'm not that kind of girl." She'll say, "I am that kind of girl." Last week, Tashi got her hair cut and sat straight up in the big black chair for a half hour extra while her hairdresser blew out her curls. When he freed her from the plastic cape, she floated off the chair, flipping her hair. She sashayed around the shop, swinging her head, looking at herself from every angle, just like my dad, who doesn't miss a mirror. She hates to get her hair cut shorter, but for a few hours after a blow dry, her hair is long and flowy, she says, like Ariel's. At home, after the haircut, she put on at least 5 necklaces, a half dozen bangles on each arm, and a plastic diamond ring on every finger. Then she loaded her lips with all the lip gloss she owns. She said, "I'm a princess." I don't know how I fit in, but it's clear my daughter takes after her grandfather. They're both posturing, which is fine if you're preparing to be rich, but not so fine if you're preparing to be a princess. Feminists have theorized that princesses hurt women because they set up little girls for a life of unrealistic expectations. An impossibly thin body, long silky hair, and love and happiness ever after. I'm a feminist, so at first I kept her away from princesses. For 2 full years, my daughter didn't watch a minute of Disney. But the band slowly broke down. She saw princesses at birthday parties, her older cousins handed down all their movies. Her preschool went to Disney on Ice, and soon I was Belle and she was Cinderella for Halloween. I couldn't fight it. So instead I tried to look at the princesses in a new way and thought that maybe those feminist theories were passé. I mean, you can be fit without having anorexia. You can have long hair and still have a brain. You can find love and happiness ever after and still maintain your sense of self. And the princesses are also seekers. Belle reads to experience worlds outside a provincial town. Pocahontas looks beyond the river bend, and Ariel gets legs to explore what's above the sea. All the princesses are defenders of animals, and Mulan is a drag king. She disguises herself as a man and saves China from the invading Huns. Maybe there's virtue in being a princess. So I'm thinking, if my daughter wishes for a life as a princess, as my dad wished for a life of riches, maybe prancing around like one is simply good planning. One recent night while Tashi was organizing her nail kit, a pink toolbox with polish, emery boards, and toe separators, I asked what being a princess meant to her. She said, "A princess gets to wear fancy, fancy clothes. She's pretty, and she has a prince. She has to be nice to the prince, or the prince will find someone else." And she gets to be skinny and not fat. My heart fell like a sandbag. But before I told her that a princess could leave her prince just the same, and that really being medium-sized was the most beautiful body shape, I wanted to know how deep this went. How damaged was my little girl? I asked her what princess she wanted to be when she grew up. She lined up 10 bottles of polish, a different color for every fingernail. She said, "I don't want to be a princess when I grow up. I want to be me."